This is Renegade Talk Radio. Renegade Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Double B Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, and how can this happen? Today I have a few stories to tell, along with some delving into things that we never delve into. But to give you a little preview of what's on tap for you today, we are going to give you a promo. Part 1 today is Who's the Bad Guy? Part 2 is Your Right to Know. And Part 3, and the most important part always, who's defending free speech in this country? Okay, and as we begin, we are going off on who is the bad guy. We know who the hypocrites are. We see them in business all day long. But today I want to talk about Mossab Hassan Youssef. He is the son of the founder of Hamas. He was a guest on Chris Cuomo's show. You know, I'm still in shock. I can't believe what he said. But now I'm quoting him. It doesn't get worse than this. Referring to terror groups such as Hamas, sitting across from negotiators from the United States, Israel, and other sovereign nations as an equal negotiator. He also said in that interview, which was not included on this replay, that the United States went behind Israel's back to negotiate with Hamas directly. Now that's what I call deplorable. Do you need to see a bad guy here? Joseph went on. Once we legitimize terrorism, what's going to be next? How will other terrorists perceive this move? Are they going to try to take human shields? Are they going to try to bully and blackmail democracies worldwide? I know, we've all heard the mantra over and over. You cannot negotiate with terrorists. This is obviously the reason why. So, Mossab, what would you have us do? Mossab Hassan Youssef was Hamas royalty as the son of co-founder Sheikh Hassan Youssef. But watching Hamas prisoners inside an Israeli jail torture fellow Palestinians helped to change his mind. And he ended up becoming a spy for Israel inside Hamas for an entire decade. He said, and I'm quoting, "This is the weapon of choice that Hamas uses, using their own people as human shields, sacrificing as much as they can, maximizing the civilian casualties, because they know this will not be accepted globally, and it will create global chaos. That is what we are experiencing right now," he finished. He also said that fact that Hamas killed Jewish children in the morning and in the evening hid behind their own children does not make them immune. Israel has to finish the job by removing Hamas from power and bringing the hostages back. So these are the words from a Hamas insider. Defeat and return the prisoners. End of story. What proof do you need to have before you will decide who the bad guy is? We are making America the bad guy in this by pretending we don't know who Hamas is. America has always been an ally of Israel. Apparently not so much anymore. We have complete unrest in this country over innocence. Quote, Palestinian people. The latest developments show you that is not true. Palestinian support for Hamas in the West Bank and Gaza remains high, according to a Palestinian poll released on March 20th. That support has increased since the Iran-backed terrorist group attacked Israel on October 7th. You know, I hate to say it, but the SS remained loyal to Hitler, and so went the people of Germany. I don't know how the Jews felt in those days, but I'm sure they weren't very happy. Once you have pledged allegiance to the terrorists, how do you think it ends if you change your mind? You will not be allowed to support any other cause. That harkens back. I remember a scene from a movie called The Sound of Music. Oh, yes, I know, not another Catholic. Oh my God. No, it was not about the nuns. It was about the family. The family, the Von Trapps, sang at the music festival and then retreated to the convent to escape Austria. The Germans followed them, but the nuns wouldn't let them in. The Von Trapp family was hiding in the cemetery. They thought all was clear, so they came out to gather and take off. But one of the Nazi soldiers was still there, and he blew his whistle. He was a messenger named Rolf. He had delivered messages to Captain Von Trapp's house many times. Captain Von Trapp said to him, "Come with us. We are leaving. We will take you with us to freedom. We are escaping and going to America." The messenger looked at him for a long time. He was thinking, and this is an assumption, maybe that's a good idea. He knew that he was trapped. If he stayed, he would never be able to desert the Nazis. But if he went with the Von Trapps, he wouldn't know what was going to happen. In the end, he chose to be controlled by the Nazis, because what he was more afraid of was the unknown. He had a choice. We have a choice today. We know which each outcome is going to represent. What plagues us is, who is the bad guy? To demonize someone is to characterize them as evil or wicked, whether or not they actually are. It's distressingly common in politics for one party to demonize members of the opposing party. I need to know if there is an argument about the devil you know and the one you don't. I'm saying today that one of them you don't know. I'll be right back.
This is Renegade Talk Radio. Renegade Talk Radio.
Welcome back to the Double B Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And how can this happen? We are examining several things today that I believe are the most important things facing us today. One of them is what we don't know, and do we have the right to know it? As you, my audience, are aware, I have spoken about our Secretary of State in the state of Nevada, Cisco Aguilar, before. He was elected in 2022 and he assumed office in 2023. Since then, he has become the poster boy for fair and honest elections. I would be excited to say that I believe him wholeheartedly. When he was elected, it was at a time when we needed to have confidence in the processes that we have implemented in our state. So as a good steward of all knowledge and facts that are available, I am at your service. No, I don't get tips. So the Donald can't save me any money on my taxes. Therefore, This is an unbiased assessment of what is happening. Darn, I could really use the money. Cisco, my friends, has come into Nevada at a time of confusion. There have been spitballs thrown at our election process. Duly noted. Now you could be convinced that we're as secure as possible. And you would be right. We have in place in our state the ability to harvest ballots. We can harvest as individuals as many as we can carry. I remind you again that Nevada is the only state in the country that can do that. I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, why would a governor of a state allow the voters to harvest ballots? He must have had a good reason. Well, here we are. There are elderly who cannot go to the polls. At the time that they passed it, at a totally closed session of the legislature, behind closed doors with no press allowed because of COVID. No, that's not the reason the press wasn't allowed, but I wonder if that's what we call cover. Oh, pardon me. I shouldn't speculate, because that's what all these people are doing. Speculating about an undemocratic process of voting. My question is, and it becomes the biggest question of all, what was the big secret? No press, no outsiders allowed, and no Secretary of State either. She was not allowed into the session. Who prevented her? The governor. All of this can be verified. We can take a ballot for the voter to the mailbox or to the drop box. If I had to guess, it would be, how many friends and family do you have that have COVID or are too elderly to get to the polls? 10? 20? How about 100? As many as can fill a trash bag full? I'm a very simple woman with very simple ideas. I can't see filling a trash bag full and going to the mailbox because I don't have that many friends and family. And I don't have that many that can't walk that far to gather them. The legislature majority are Democrats in the state of Nevada, as it stood then and is today. They were all in favor of this session and shouted, "Aye." Stick it in your eye, your EYE. Legislation passed. Now we have Cisco as our Secretary of State because Barbara Sagaski decided not to run again. Okay, she's out. Republican out, Democrat in. No comment. I do have a point to make here. Yes, and you were thinking, oh, well, she sure goes on and on. Well, what's the point? I had to make you go on this journey, or you would have missed our destination altogether. Point. Aguilar is now the Secretary of State. He is a Democrat. Why does it matter what party he is, as long as the job is done correctly? My point as well. Why? Stay patient. I'm about to disclose. Ever since his election, we have been told that Nevada's voting system is fair and honest. Repeatedly, I might add. In Nevada, 6 Republican Party officials face charges of participating in a fake elector scheme in 2020 to keep Trump in office. That's how they couch it. Trump continues to add to the doubt. This is what an article in the paper said. Including on Sunday at his Las Vegas appearance, he said that the election was rigged. Aguilar is not buying that narrative. We know for a fact that Nevada runs some of the most safest, secure, and accessible elections in the country. Aguilar went on to say, if you look at the last quarterly report, and you see it does not have a fraud problem. He also said that he needed to educate Nevadans on the systems in place to protect the election. I really want to be educated, Cisco. I really do. But I am telling you, as I look at your record so far, I want an explanation. I am a skeptic. Why, in the primary election for president, did you send out ballots after being told that the Republicans do a caucus? I want to know why there were ballots cast in that primary when there was no election because the Republicans had held a caucus. Who were the people that cast the ballots? Registered voters? I also want to know why you said that you would have the process secured by the time the general election comes in November, but not for the primary. I get it. Voters. I'm not immune to throwing hand grenades. But when will we get some answers? Do we have the right to know? The headline to this story is that a new system will be put in July. What happened to February and June? Which is it? We aren't going to get what we want if we aren't overseeing it. Somewhere between fraud and fair is what we call election security. So stop bothering with pesky little details. Like, is it fraudulent? Is it fair? Keep it down, bleacher sitters. Someone might hear you. I'll be right back.
This is Renegade Talk Radio. Renegade Talk Radio.
This is the Double P Studios, and how can this happen? On Flag Day, June 14th. So I am back, and how can this happen is taking a look at free speech, because I want to know what we are afraid of. We're afraid of victim shaming. We're afraid of getting our hearts crushed. We're afraid of getting bashed all the way to our little corner that we can't get out of. And we've been pushed into that corner too long. Stop it. Snap. It's over and done with. This is why I'm telling you we're done with this. On Chris Cuomo, he had his guest, James Carville, the Democrat big dog with the big bad, the Democrat mouth that is nothing but pitiful ramblings and rantings. That's where we'll stop, right there. Because Carville is just a joke. He has no policy issues. He has nothing to offer in the form of policy. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. Chris Cuomo, I applaud you for having this Louisiana little piece of, and having him on your show to prove that you believe in freedom of speech. Thank you. I want to be on your show. If you really believe in free speech, you should have me on. The disaster administration of the Trump presidency and the Democrats need to message better That's part of what he said when you can get through all of the slang and the whatever. The Louisiana garbage. Carville said the crime rate has gone down. Well, I would beg to disagree if you talk to people in big cities. He and Cuomo don't understand why the COVID response was so horrible. President will not continue the tax cuts, and he's going to get the minimum wage to $16.20 an hour. I think that's awesome. Because the $20 an hour minimum wage in California did so much for that state. Ugh, our cities are getting safer, he said. He also said Harris, that meaning the vice president, should go to Arizona and tell people that the crime is down and congratulate our police and our border patrol. Yeah, they need to be congratulated, Carville. They're doing what they were told. They're not protecting us, but they were told not to. Chris, he said we need reform in the Supreme Court because of corruption. Well, if Harris is not the Achilles heel, what does she need to do? Our contrasts need to be made clear, and we need to tell the voters to remember what it was like under the Trump administration. I'm all for that, James. I remember. And that's a big problem for you. But neither man admitted that the problem was administration of the laws, not the messaging. I want to warn you, my audience. What you are about to hear is about why it's time for everyone who wants to speak their mind to open up. We as Americans don't know anything about our own country's leadership. I know it is wrong, and we have to know what we don't know. A look back in history. Let's take the history repeats itself for just a moment, and then we're going to fast forward. Back in the day, as they say, a long time ago, John F. Kennedy faced many challenges, as all presidents do. One of the great challenges of his day was the civil rights battle. You all remember Martin Luther King, I hope. Kennedy's political strategy had been to delay sending a civil rights bill to Congress until his second term, when he could afford to split his party and pick up the backing of moderate Republicans to pass the measure. Yeah, history does repeat itself. Being mindful of a constant drumbeat of racism to this day. I wonder, who are the racists, really? Who are they? I think you need to wake up and answer that question. Lincoln freed the slaves with the help of the Republicans, and then President Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Bill with the Republicans' help in 1965. I also remember that a lot of gossip about JFK came out after his death. Wow! It made for some hugely steamy, trashy novel fodder. He was quite the ladies' man. He was the most handsome president after all. Oh, and I loved his Boston accent. Oh, well, we digress. And then there was the Marilyn Monroe connection as well. Oh, my. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Marilyn Monroe made that phone call to the White House. Truth does come out in the end. But my question is, why don't we know this when it's happening? I'm told it's only on a need-to-know basis. Would you have thought differently of Kennedy if you knew about all his dalliances before you voted for him? At that time, of course. So one day, hordes will read about Joe Biden and his walk through the history of the 46th presidential administration. Why do we have to wait? Why can't we have the knowledge now in real time? Are the fires of racism still being stoked today? Is the key to power the stoking of fears and anxiety? I no longer am afraid. Let me explain why. I am concerned. I am a caring, loving human being, and I find myself in pain every day. The pain and the tears of cruelty and of human suffering. I don't like seeing people suffer needlessly. My life has been affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. I have been baptized by fire to a disease and the devastation to families and loved ones. It's a plague on society that there is no cure for. We just become the victims of it. Our president is a walking, mumbling, fumbling elder of this disease. We are being gaslighted every day into believing that he is just fine. He has a perfect brain, and that the old man is really Donald Trump. And also, don't forget, they're both bad. They prop Biden up day to day. He attends the G7 summit with world leaders and appears to be having a melt-away at the sight of some parachuters coming down from the sky. They gently pull him back into the group for a photo, and he puts on his aviator sunglasses. Are you seeing this as it stands today? Well, let me explain it to you. We, the American people, are to blame for this. We stand by while our president is made a fool of in front of the whole world. We stand by while the world watches the decline and the decay of an old man who is resembling a walking cadaver. I am totally ashamed. I can't watch him anymore. I have to tune it out. Our enemies know this, and they're mocking us, saying, look, America is surrendering. We're signaling. We are signaling that we no longer want to lead. We're going to sell our country out to the highest bidder. China, Iran, Russia. And who do you think that giving 4 more years of this is a good idea? Maybe we shouldn't allow voters to vote. Maybe they need a test. If you want to drive a car, you need to know the rules. I have to take a driver's test, but anyone can vote, even a non-citizen. The winds of change are blowing, and not any too soon. We can, and we will stay strong. Jesus watched as the olives were being squeezed to make the olive oil. The pressure and the strength applied to the press caused the oil to be released into a vat. What was he thinking? I'm just saying clarity comes from suffering, and I think that we've suffered enough. The winds of change are coming, and it's time. I will be back, my audience. I really appreciate you.